How's it going, everyone? Mahaji here, back at it with another video, and today I'm going to be discussing Blanka's matchup spread in Street Fighter 6. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know how you feel like your character deals with Blanka in Street Fighter 6, because typically when I ask people how they feel about Blanka, they're like, this character's annoying, I don't know what to do against him, you know, things of that nature. So just let me know in the comments how you feel about him, and let's get to the video. So as you can see, I've already got the list kind of splayed out. I didn't want to tease you guys throughout the video and be like, oh, where would we put this guy? No, I already got the list for you guys. You know, go ahead and screenshot it, do what you want with it. And I don't have mine labeled like 5-5. Like you'll see a lot of people maybe put like even instead of even, they'll put 5-5 to kind of like, you know, give some numerology to it. I'm not really that good at math, so we're just gonna say even. And I have the game pulled up in case I want to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about with a certain character. So we're going to start with the worst matchups for Blanka first and kind of work our way up instead of going top down. We're going to go bottom up, okay? Now, in big disadvantage, I only have 2 characters. In slight disadvantage, I have 1, and then everyone else is either even or above. So as you can kind of tell, Blanka's matchup spread is fairly even for the most part. He does pretty much well against a lot of characters, and the characters he kind of sucks against, he really sucks against. This comes in tandem with the fact that Blanka is a typically risky character. And what I mean by that is that he has to do a lot to kind of open you up. And if he's wrong, he can typically get punished. And some characters take that momentum a lot farther than others. And that's kind of what this tier list helps kind of justify. Or, excuse me, matchup spread. That's not a tier list. But, so yeah, just keep your mind on that. Like whether or not I bring up risk reward or I'm talking about how much, excuse me, Blanka has to work for like against a certain character and how that plays into the matchup. Typically what you'll see is that if they have a, you know, a DP or like any reversal, they typically have like even or like maybe slight advantage, like Cammy's case. She's the only one with like a excuse me, Cammy and Terry are the only two with like an invincible DP, but everyone else either has one or they're in like slight disadvantage, big disadvantage. So having a DP against this character, already really good. On top of that, you want to see if they can anti-air. If they have a, you know, frame 1 anti-air, that kind of goes into playing well against Blanka. So without further ado, let's start with Mr. Kenneth. All right, Mr. Kenneth Masters. This character shits on Blanka for the most part. Let's go ahead and start with, I don't even know why I have Terry put up, but let's go ahead and start with Mr. Kenneth. Where is he at? Where's he at? Where's he at? All right. Alright, so this matchup is pretty consistent with everything I've been talking about. Blanka is so risky that when Blanka messes up once, like let's say, for example, if I do a Blanka ball and it's not really that calculated, if I get punish countered here, then Ken is just going to do his shenanigans of just, you know, doing like something like this, corner carry into, you know, Jinrai. And when I'm in the corner and I'm dealing with Jinrai, Blanka doesn't really have a good way to deal with it, because if I set Ken to do this, okay, look at this, I can't DP this, right? My DP doesn't really go that far, and since it doesn't go that far, I don't really have a way to kind of counteract Jinrai loops like that unless I play the system mechanic game of I have parry, I don't have parry, I'm gonna jump. If I get caught by, you know, the low, then I'm still in pressure. And if he fakes it out, I can at least get something going with OD Blanka ball here, right? But typically, I don't have much to go off of when it comes to this matchup. I don't have any like pressure or like specific things against Ken that I can do. I'm a little bit sick, guys, by the way. If I keep sniffling, is, you know, I have a little snot in my nose. My apologies for that. But Ken also has a very annoying feature about him. His crouching medium kick is 7 frames. Now, what this means for a character like, let's say, let's bring up Mr. Ryu, right? They're kind of very similar characters. So I have Ryu set here to do crouching medium kick, okay? His crouching medium kick is 8 frames. And like I said, Ken's is 7 frames. What this means is that when I do something like this, I can typically check the opponent for trying to take their turn back after I do electric, okay? But this only works on characters with 8-frame crouching medium kicks. This does not work on characters with 6-frame normals that go that far, or characters like Ken with a 7-frame crouching medium kick, okay? So because of that, I don't have that mind game against him, which means that I actually have to hold whatever he's going to do to me next, right? On top of that, pretty much every whiff punish he gets is going to lead into pressure that puts me in the corner against the Genrai loops that I can't DP. That I kind of have to gamble to get out of, and his risk reward is way higher than mine. What else do I have to deal with? His fireball game is pretty standard. I can slide under the fireballs pretty easily. But, I mean, that's just kind of standard for most fireball characters. I can kind of deal with them if I'm on point. If not, he gets, you know, this kind of thing where he just goes like this. You know, he can kind of run his pressure any type of way he wants to. But outside of that, it really just is the fact that Ken is so consistent and Blanka is really risky. So that kind of just goes into the next character, which is Ed. Ed pretty much does the same thing. But instead of it being a matter of like Blanka being risky and Ed getting corner carry and then putting you in a position, it's more of the fact that I just can't contest this range at all. Anything that I do is held against me in the court of law. And I just get judged. I just get judged everything. This button, I can't do this button that much just because flicker exists. Now, with that in mind, right? If flicker is such a problem, I've kind of devolved this playing against this character a little bit, just because I'm like, okay, I can't play against flicker because I can't do this button. I can't do pretty much anything from the mid range because he can easily whiff punish me. His buttons are so non-committal, I have a hard time whiff punish him. So I've devolved it to kind of just, I gotta jump. If I have to do it, I have to do it. I gotta jump against this character. His anti-air game is not impressive. It's there, but it's not impressive. And Ed also suffers against a little thing I like to call the rainbow ball effect. So if I do this move and I aim it towards the back of the opponent, a lot of players cannot deal with this because their DP will actually whiff. So for example, Ed's DP, this one and this one, they all whiff. All of these whiff against that rainbow ball specifically. So then he has to start doing jump back medium kick to answer that. And then once I start doing that, I start doing this rainbow ball, and then he kind of jump back, and then I can take more space on the ground. So with that in mind, this matchup, I try to like shave off little things from this fucking harmful ice cream cone, but it's just not enough. The mid-range is still really stupid, and all it takes is just one up whip for me to get smoked and put in a position where now I have to kind of guess a little bit harder and play a little bit more solid against the character. But he can't really do fireball against me, but there's no real reason to do fireball against me if he just does this all day. So yeah, I mean, this matchup, it stinks. It's really hard to play against. Dee Jay, very similar to Ed. The mid-range is kind of hard to play. The main difference is that I can coward crouch under a lot of Dee Jay's normals, and also he's much more DI-able than Ed is. And the fact that his level 1 and 2 are not reversals means that I can get away with a lot more on offense. And also that his fireball is pretty, it's much easier to play against because he just doesn't have like he has the tools, but he's weak against a lot of system mechanics and does not deal with level 2 against BLANKA that well. So for that, I would say this is a slight disadvantage just because Dee Jay doesn't really like suffer at all in the matchup. He deals with pretty much everything that BLANKA can do, but he does like a little bit more in the mid range that makes it frustrating to play. All right, moving on. Rashid. I can't slide under his fireballs, but I can say that this matchup is even because it's pretty much just whoever gets level 2 off first. I'm not gonna lie. If Rashid gets level 2 off first, liable they're gonna win that round. If they don't, I get level 2 off, I'm liable to win that round, and it just goes from there. So pretty even. I will say that Rashid cannot really move in the air like he wants to. Same goes for me. I can't really move in the air like with Rainbow Ball because his MDP, or whichever DP goes straight up, kind of smokes me. But other than that, like I said, I think he plays really well against Rashid for the most part. So even Akuma is Akuma. He has low health, so this matchup is pretty volatile. I will show this off real quick. Since Akuma's fireballs are so fast, I can't really slide under them like I want to. Like, this is like really hard to deal with. But another thing that I don't have to deal with is this right here, because I can just straight up deal with this. Also, the same goes for Devil's Reverse, or not Devil's Reverse, whatever this move is called. Right, this one. If I see this, I just straight up stand heavy kick, and I'll just go into a full confirm there, right? So this matchup is not crazy like that for Akuma, but it's also like he's also moving like much faster than every other character. So he does have an 8-frame crouching medium kick, which means I can't really do the, or I can really do the Ryu trap against him, where I do Blanka ball after after electric. So that's pretty good. He has low health, so my set play overall does more damage to him than other characters, which means I have to hit him less than other characters, which is good for me. So yeah, this is pretty even. It's Akuma. JP, this matchup is pretty interesting. I'll show a couple of things about it really quick. This also comes to how technical you are as a player. I'm not the most technical, but I do have really good timing when it comes to like knowing how players want to move and where they're going to move. So this is something that you'll typically see from JP. So if I have him kind of sit there and like be like, okay, I'm going to do this, right? What you'll see a lot from, excuse me. There we go, right? What you'll see from a lot of JPs is like once they do this, they're like, okay, I want you to stay there and I don't want you to do anything. But if I'm Blanka, this is what happens. So he just kind of gets smoked for committing to 2 pillars there. He also cannot do something like this, because even though it looks like he should be able to do this, I just straight up go past the projectile. So something like this. Oh, if I can get the input. Right. So whenever this happens, I typically just go right past it. So he can't play that mind game that everyone else struggles with. I kind of just like go through his shit. So once he starts to realize that, then he's like, okay, bet. If that's not gonna work, then we're just gonna go with the next thing, which is just do this and then this, right? It's like, okay, bet. I'm gonna just sit here. You whiffed? Okay, bet. Right? So with that in mind, the matchup kind of comes down to who has a better idea of the other person's timing, and my reward is much higher than his off of those, but he gets more of those little hits, right? With that in mind, he doesn't have a reversal. He has OD Amnesia, which is not bad, but a lot of Blanka's set play is projectile based, because he throws this little boy out and he sends him off to boot camp, and he comes back with flying colors. So since he's a projectile, he's gonna actually stuff a lot of JP's OD Amnesia attempts. The mid range is not bad for Blanka either. This range right here is not the worst. I can just kind of like play, you know, 6 heavy punch, down heavy punch, and kind of just stay at this range right here, which allows me to run more of a, you know, a solid game plan against JP. I'll also say that JP's level 2 is not that crazy either, compared to Blanka's, and he doesn't have a real way to deal with Blanka's level 2 outside of like guessing on whether or not it's coming or not. Outside of that, JP doesn't have a really good anti-air, so he can't really deal with like Blanka jumping in on him all the time, especially from weirder angles like this. And he doesn't have a real way to deal with Blanka ball outside of crouching medium punch. But if he's not on point, he's going to get OD balled, and he's going to get smoked for that. So as much as I like to shit on this matchup for being in like an even territory, I would probably put it like right here, honestly, like in the mid area. But it's more even than it is not, just because of how consistent JP is as a character. Bison, not much here. Very plain matchup. It's honestly whoever gets the set play going first. He doesn't have a reversal DP like that for real. Or at all, really. His level 1 is slow. His damage is so high. His frame data is insane. But outside of those things, Blanka pretty much deals with him better than most of the cast, I would say. Guile, I'm going to get in depth to real quick because I've played against a lot of Guiles. I would say this matchup is even, but I would say Guile suffers more in this matchup. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. But, alright. This matchup consists of one button and one button only, all right? I'm going to blow your mind. Crouching heavy punch. Now, the reason why this button is so good is because when you're playing the game, you kind of want to keep a mind on, like an eye on the opponent's resources and your own resources to see what they're willing to do and what they're not willing to do, okay? This button does a half of a bar and a little bit more, like 75% of a drive gauge bar. So the more you chip away at this and the more you kind of present this as an option, the more or the less opportunities your opponent has to make an opportunity happen for themselves. And since this button is so good at kind of dwindling down the drive gauge, let's say he does like a sonic boom, right? That is not even like nearly the same amount, right? And from this range, I mean, not really that plus either if I get the parry going. So let's say from like this range right here, let's say like right here, this is perfect, right? So let's say, okay, he's plus 10, cool, that's whatever, right? If I have perfect parry there, it's pretty much even and I can kind of reinstate myself. But what you'll typically see is, let's say, let's have him set to block reversal. And then I'll say, let's say L Sonic Boom, right? Right? Actually, I don't even, why is it even, it's not giving you the perfect. That's kind of funny. So this is what you'll typically see. I actually get a punish from that distance right there, okay? And because I get that punish from this distance right here, it's actually really annoying for Gao to do anything about this. It's really hard for Gao to deal with that right there. So you may say like, okay, well, like what happens if I just wait and then I DP him for it, right? Well, the thing is, Blanka's not gonna sit here and just do that every time, right? He's not gonna always just do that. Every time he does that, he's gonna risk doing it again. And because Gao's buttons, none of the Gao's buttons hit here from right here. Right, this button, yeah, but he's never gonna give up that charge for that button. This button, yeah, but it's also very susceptible to like just sitting and being patient and not being in that range and just whiff punishing it. So this button right here serves as like the anchor position for Blanka's game plan here. And once Gao gives up the ground and starts jumping, that's when you can really start having fun, because then you just anti-air him, get back in, and you just start running your mix up again. Another thing too is like if I'm playing in this range and he starts throwing like OD booms or like faster booms to prevent me from doing any of those, then I just step back and I'm like, okay, bet, I'll start sliding. And then what do you do from there? So now you're taking all of this, I go back, you start taking that, and then I'm still jumping on you. Like it's a lot for Gao to think about in this matchup, and I think it's rougher for Gao to function in this matchup than it is for Blanka. On top of that, once I start getting level 2 activated, Gao has a hard time dealing with level 2, I feel like. Just because it's so the drive gauge for Gao is so precious to him, because he needs it to drive rush in, he needs it to OD DP, he needs it for pretty much anything he's gonna try to do to get his offense initiated. And if I'm in the lead, I have like a really comfortable just play pattern of just like kind of, you know, preventing people from getting close, maintaining this distance to like if my drive gauge is low, stuff like that. He does have a 8-frame button, like I said. You can also just abuse the fact that he can't do anything about this. You know, just same thing right here. -3, I'm safe on this, so it's like it doesn't really matter that much. Gao does not have a throw loop, so that helps in the matchup as well. And yeah, I mean, it's as close as it can be to slight advantage, but it's still even because it's Gao and he's just gonna keep throwing booms, right? Chun, not much to say about this matchup. She cannot throw fireball against Blanka as easily as she wants to, so that's pretty much in his favor. But she's still really fast walk speed. She still has a lot of you know, smaller things. Like she has a really good DP. I'll say this about Gao too. Their DPs are like up and down motions. Like hers is down, down, so she doesn't have to worry about which direction. So if I do something like this, it'll autocorrect and it'll hit me. Same with Gao, so they kind of have that going for them. But outside of that, these two are kind of like the same, where it's just like the neutral is like pretty good for both of them, but I feel like they struggle more with having to deal with like Blanka's approach. And he can get overwhelming pretty quickly. Juri's pretty fun to play against. I know a lot of people kind of meme like her drive rush is really annoying to deal with. But I mean, she's not really doing anything crazy against Blanka. She has a frame 1 DP anti-air, which means that I can't really throw Blanka ball out like that. But in this matchup, I feel like you don't really need to. I think what you should focus more on in this matchup is having a charge available to kind of anti-air. Because once you check her with this button and this button on her drive rushes, she really struggles to kind of like do any initiative outside of throwing Fireball out. And if she needs to get Fireball out, guess what? Let's say she wants to get Fireball out, right? This is pretty whiff punishable for the most part. You can just kind of like straight up slide and get this advantage on her. And if it's not that, then once she actually does get this going, then you can do something like this. Right? Like you can straight up just like hit her for trying to do this projectile. So that's pretty good in the matchup. Right? So with that in mind, I would say this is still even because it's Juri and most of her damage is going to come from like smaller hits and to throw into like snowball. And the fact that she has a DP is really good against Blanka. She can't do like her mind game of like, am I going to jump in or delay jump in? Because Blanka's L ball kind of checks that. But like I said, her buttons are still really good. Her pressure is really obnoxious. So it's kind of hard to DP against her from a certain range since Blanka's DP doesn't go out that far. So yeah, this is even. And her level 2 isn't that crazy either. The fact that she has a reversal that is projectile, like it's weak to projectiles, means that this is still pretty good against her on Oki. But yeah, even. Manon, this is pretty even. Her buttons are so good. It's really hard to like play against that mid-range against her. She has a consistent answer against a lot of what Blanka has to say and do, but the one thing that she doesn't have is an invincible reversal, and I feel like she can get easily snowballed. She doesn't have a good answer. Like her reversals are cool, like level 1, level 2, but like they're not that crazy. If they get blocked at all, then she's severely punished compared to a lot of the casts, just because, I mean, you lost a bar and you don't really have another reversal coming, so I can just smoke you. What else about this matchup? One thing I will say about this and kind of show you guys is that you do have a consistent answer against her -9 situation with her this move, whatever this move is. Also, this is the color that I picked for her because I wanted to try her and play her. Y'all tell me this color ain't sick, bro. This color is awesome. Now if I have a bar, all right, and she does this move, then I can actually do this if I can get it. Oh my god. It's like the most unpunishable -9 I've ever had to deal with. I cannot get this. I just cannot get this. There we go. No? Okay, well look. Alright, so look, this is -9, alright? Typically when you're out further this range, right, it's -9. And this is 8 frame, okay? This is 8 frame special. It's supposed to work, but I'm just getting trolled. There we go, finally. So yeah, that's like a consistent punish against that move. Outside of you being able to kind of DI for it. So if you don't have that ready, then if you just react with this, then you can actually get a punish on her for doing that. Like that. There we go. I'm good. Guys, I promise, I'm good. But yeah, that's kind of like the thing around her, is like she can't really do like a lot of the normal things she does to other players or the characters. And the same for him. This move actually kind of smokes. Let me see, which one is it? I think it's this one. Yeah, this move actually kind of smokes Blanka because he can't. I think it might be OD, but yeah, this move kind of smokes Blanka. So you can't really throw out. It might be OD actually. Yeah, it's this one right here. This one is really obnoxious. Yeah, you can't really do that against her. She just gets a medal off of you for free. But outside of that, I think this is even. Maybe it's a little bit more in his favor, but I've played against so many good Manons, it's kind of hard to tell. Zangief, robbery character. There's nothing specific about this matchup. I mean, he just robs the fuck out of you. I mean, he does it to everybody. Honestly, in a Zangief matchup spread, if everyone's not in like I can rob you, then I don't know what the matchup spread is about. I don't know what the chart's about. Like, that's just what it should be. It should just be Zangief at the top, all right? Zangief at the top, and then just a big column that just says, I can rob each one of these characters, and just every character in there. Ryu's pretty standard. He's like a less kin, all right? So he doesn't have like the shenanigans in the corner. He's pretty plain Jane. I'll say that some of his scenarios aren't that good because of the type of character he is. So, for example, this is what you'll see from a lot of Ryus. If I can get the... Here we go. Man. Alright. Alright. This time for real, guys. Okay. So, you'll typically see this a lot from Ryu players. But like I said, same thing with like the -8. I can just punish this. Right? Thing about Ryu is like... Also, he likes to do a lot of like light Hasho to fake fireball, and then like fireball to like really throw a fireball. And the thing about him is I can just slide both of them. Like you can't really do that mind game against him because I can just straight up whiff punish both of them. So that does kind of suck for Ryu, but again, he has like a lot of damage. So if I ever make a mistake, I'm just gonna get punished for it super hard, more than most characters. So it's pretty much even. He has a reversal, has an anti-air, can pretty much deal with everything Blanka does, but it's hard for him because of how his normals are kind of ass too. Like I showed earlier, his 8-frame crouching medium kick, not crazy. So yeah. Luke, same deal. Nothing really changed. Like there's nothing specific about this matchup outside of if you're cracked. All right, if you're cracked, you can do this against Luke. You can do this against Luke. Alright, so Luke's love to do this right here. If you're cracked, you can get a whiff punish that full screen. That's one thing about this matchup that's really hard to deal with as Luke. You can't really deal with that. Like it's either you do it or you don't, and you get smoked for it. So yeah, it's just one of those like, haha, you got hit moments, right? I'm trying to think. Does he do a different one? No, he just does those. I didn't even... Man. Psyche projectile. I can also just straight up slide under it too. So yeah, this matchup is still even just because it's Luke. He's pretty consistent, but he's not doing like what Ken's doing. He doesn't have the damage of Ryu, but he's still pretty solid. Jamie, I'm a little bit on the fence about. I've played Boost a couple times. Shout out Boost. Also shout out IDOM for making Capcom Pup. That's fucking legit. I'll say Jamie is like, I don't know, man. He has a lot going for him, but I feel like he just doesn't get away with anything in the matchup. Every time that Jamie tries to get a drink against Blanka, it feels like it's just like easily preventable. Like for example, whenever he does this, I can do that, and if I'm full screen, I can do that, and he doesn't even get the drink from like getting counter hit there. So I feel like a lot of this is just like has to deal with if I'm on point, he can't really do like anything outside of just play really solid. He has a frame 1 anti-air with this, so he does have a consistent answer against Blanka Ball. Also this to get like this going. But I mean, outside of that, I mean the matchup is just like very like straightforward. There's no like real gimmicks outside of like Jamie made like do his like sweep a lot. Like this sweep is kind of hard to punish for most characters, like from this range, right? I can't really do that, but I can do that with Blanka. So I get OD electric as a punish, which is pretty good. Outside of that, like I said, there's not really much here. It's pretty even just because he does have a reversal and his does have like an F-frame 1 anti-air and good options against Blanka's stuff. I may even put it in slight advantage for Blanka, mostly because if we think about what Jamie's doing and what his goal is working towards when he gets drinks, it's that he gets a command grab with like his whatchamacallit, right? Whatever it is. This. And since Blanka just deals with like grabs in general pretty well with his own Blanka Ball, it's not really that big of a deal for him to get his drinks like that, honestly. Obviously, he does have access to more normals and stuff like that, cancelable stuff, but it's more of a risk on Jamie to do those anyways. So I'm not really pressed by him getting drinks, even if he does get them on like Oki or something. So yeah, this matchup is even. I want to say it's more an advantage of Blanka just because the Jamie has to play so consistent. So that good transition to the slight advantage. Now, Cammy's a character where I feel like she does well against a majority of the cast because the way that she plays, or all Cammy players play her, is that she's focused on whiff punishing, and she can whiff punish pretty much everybody. So with that in mind, if we take that off of the table because it applies to pretty much everybody, I feel like it's in Blanka's favor. Big drink. Mostly because her approach with dive kick is easily countered with him having access to stand heavy kick, which kind of prevents her from running that whole I'm gonna dive kick type thing, right? Like if I have her set to, let's see, do I have those? There we go. Yeah, so if I have her set to this, I can always pretty much get a like guaranteed trade combo, or like just get in like a pretty good position where I just straight up hit her and don't even have to worry about like that, right? So yeah, I think this matchup is in his favor. Like even buttons like this will anti-air, or like this will anti-air. If I'm like you know what I'm saying? Like he just has like a lot of buttons that kind of deal with her like dive kick shenanigans, and then when you get down to like the actual neutral, I don't think it's that bad for him. I've played against a couple of Cammys before, and it feels like I have the better normals in neutral, and she can't really do much outside of try to play in this range right here and then get away from this button with her dive kicks, and then I start doing this more. Obviously she's gonna whiff punish everybody, so I mean if you get whiff punished by her, don't feel bad. She's just kind of designed to be like a whiff punisher. I have a down up DP, which means that I don't have to deal with her shenanigans in the corner if she does like EX this move, right? If she does EX this move, I just look at it and I'm like, okay, bet I'm gonna fucking DP it. Like we'll trade the bar. So yeah, that's pretty even. These next couple kind of deal with the like, so Aki and Terry, they struggle from the same thing but in different ways. So Aki's main thing is like her anti-airs are decent, but her fireball sucks against him. She really cannot throw fireball out against BLANKA at all, like from any range. Like it's like even from right here. Do you see what I'm saying? Like from right here, it doesn't really matter. Like I just have so many ways to deal with fireball. She doesn't have an anti-air. She doesn't have a DP. So her defense and offense are already kind of like worse, just because she doesn't have the same answers for things that BLANKA typically would get met with, like a Ken or like an Ed or DJ. For that purpose, when I throw her, oftentimes it's because I'm looking for the reversal that she has, and then that kind of goes in like player habits and stuff. But because she doesn't have a reversal outside of that, I mean, his reward is off of that is pretty good too. He also has a command throw, right, to kind of deal with like if I'm throwing obsessively and then they start to throw more, then I just command throw and they can't really deal with that either. On top of that, she doesn't have a real answer for BLANKA ball for real. Her crouching medium kick is 7 frames, but you're not gonna really press that outside of like the ranges that it's good at to like kind of keep pressure up. So he doesn't have to really worry about that as much either. What else in this matchup kind of sucks? She can't deal with his set play at all. She gets smoked by a set play. She can't do anything about level 2. Yeah, this matchup I think is in his favor for the most part. Terry, I would say this is in BLANKA's favor. I think the thing about this matchup is like outside of like the projectile, like I can BLANKA a ball over this projectile. That's whatever. He can switch it up and start doing other projectiles and stuff. I don't even think the matchup comes down to that, or the fact that I can kind of deal with this button or this special and just coward crouch onto that. I just think it's that Terry's buttons are just not that good, man. I feel like I smoke a lot of his buttons half of the time. This, I just straight up just fucking just do this. Like I just do it every day. Like every time, it's just this button just gets smoked. This button gets smoked by BLANKA ball. This button just gets outspaced. This button is like the only button I feel like he can really play, and he doesn't really get like a good reward off of it either. His sweep sucks. His sweep sucks a lot because it looks like his crouching medium kick, and it's like even though it's so minus, I just forget. I'm just like, man, that's a terrible button. Every time I say it, I'm like, man, that's a terrible button. He has a DP. Don't get me wrong, DP's fine. This DP's fine too. But I can rainbow ball over these and kind of bait them a lot too. Like he gets smoked by a rainbow ball. Outside of that, like I said, I feel like it's just the button range is just really like a mismatch. I feel like Terry just cannot deal with BLANKA's buttons at all. And he doesn't really deal with his set play as well. Like he doesn't have like a specific answer to it. He just DPs, and if he stays in place, then he gets hit by the BLANKA Chan. So it's whatever. I feel like it's still more in BLANKA's favor though. Kimberly, she just gets bullied a lot. She has like an anti-air, and she has a good answer for Blanka Ball, but even then her buttons aren't as good as Blanka's. And it also comes down to the fact that she can't really bulldoze her way in like she wants to, because he has a various amounts of defensive options that kind of smoke her. And then one I'll show real quick, this is kind of what I've been doing against a lot of Kimberlys who kind of just autopilot their set play, is they'll do, where's Kimberly? So in the biggest patch that hit, wake up drive reversal was a thing, right? And I'm not sure what her inputs are, but I just know that if she does, let's say she does something like this, right? Let's say she does something like that. Look how far out I'm sent when I do drive reversal, and they just autopilot their offense, right? From this range, it means that I just have like no commitment really. Like her punish isn't that big, because like let's say I do this and I'm out of the situation. If I were to do the same thing and I were to have DP, I actually get punished for that. So you can kind of see why like this option is much better to do than ODDP, because typically if you do that as Kimberly, you're safe to like reversals for the most part, except his drive reversal, because his drive reversal pushes out so far. So that kind of fucks up her set play. Even though it's like 2 bars of mine, it's still really good to get out of the situation, and I get pressure after too. So with that in mind, I feel like this matchup just kind of sucks for her, because she can't really start her initiative like she wants to, and her reward off of it is like kind of skewed, because if she's getting most of her damage off of throws, and I can answer those with Blanka Ball for the most part, it's hard for her to really start anything. Honda, I know a lot of Blanka players say this matchup sucks. I think it's fine. I actually think it's in Blanka's favor. I mean, once you just start parrying Blanka, I know it's like, oh, just parry the character, but like parry Blanka, his reward off of throw isn't that crazy. And the fact that you can kind of bully him with set play and grab him a lot, I feel like there's not much he can really do. So yeah. The next 3, I think, are Blanka's best matchups by far. Dhalsim. Alright, Dhalsim is pretty bad against Blanka for the most part. The reason for this is because of one button, and then like everything else is just icing on the cake. So when Dhalsim plays and he does anything like that, right? Let's say he's playing, I can just throw this button out. It doesn't matter, bro. Like, it really doesn't matter. The fact that he doesn't have an ODDP to kind of like stop things from happening, on top of like me being able to do this, because I'm able to hold down and keep the charge, I kind of smoke him in the air, and he doesn't have time to teleport. Also, if he tried to teleport on the other side, I can just straight up just do this, and it'll autocorrect, and it'll smoke him as well. I go under his fireball. He can't do like this, where like he does like I'm not sure what the input is. I think it might be. Let me see. What most of the input is. Well, let's just say when he does fireball in the air and he does fireball on the ground, I can just slide under the second fireball on reaction. Like if I just tap parry and I'm just like, oh, he did it, let me get under there real quick, and then they just get smoked. So yeah, this matchup pretty much sucks. He can't deal with Blanka's level 2. His level 2 sucks as a reversal, so he can't really get much out of it. So yeah. Lily, okay. Lily is pretty fun to play against, even though I think this matchup sucks for her. Like RP Lilies. She can't get free win stocks like that. Yeah, she can't do this in neutral. She gets slid on way too much. Also, when she does actually get this, and she wants to do her little condor or whatever, here, I'll just set her to do it. Kind of show you what I'm talking about. That completely beats her thing right there. And then when she finally gets it, I can slide under, or I can crouch under her move completely and then smoke her for that too. On top of that, she doesn't have an OD reversal. Her level 1 and level 2 are pretty good, but outside of that, she just doesn't have a real good like way to kind of keep Blanka pinned down. And the fact that her main thing is like command throw, she gets smoked by this a lot because she can't deal with like whether or not you did a regular throw or like command grab. So I think this matchup sucks for her. She can't deal with level 2 that well. So yeah, the next matchup I think is Blanka's best by far. It's Marisa's. It's either Dhalsim or Marisa, but I think it's more so Marisa. because Marisa suffers from something that no other character kind of deals with outside of maybe DJ. All right, I'm gonna just do a very amount of moves real quick. So, okay. So watch this. Every special and most of her normals will just go straight over Blanka when he's crouching. So when he's crouching, you just look for anything and you just punish her with punches. You just fuck her up with wild lift. That being said, she doesn't have an OD reversal. She's really susceptible to grab, and when she is teching a throw, if she techs a throw, it puts her in like a whatever position. Like this is still not good for her at all because I have so much range to kind of just check this. Like look at this. That's ridiculous. Like you can't do anything from right here. On top of that, his set play kind of smokes her as well. She gets easily bullied because she's such a slow character. Slide is really good against her to whiff punish her. Jumping against her is pretty good too. She can't deal with Blanka's air normals like that. Like a lot of these characters just, or a lot of this like matchup is just like, damn, I can just do kind of whatever I want to Marisa because she just can't answer anything. Like, let's say, for example, they start to do this, or I start to do this, and they start to wisen up, and they're like, okay, bet, I'm going to just walk up, crouching medium punch. It's like, bro, I can just get out of the situation. Like, I just step back, and I can just, like, wait. And then next time I do this, and you're like, okay, let me, like, pull up a little bit, and then I'm just like, nah, I'm going to step back and just whiff punish you now. Like, she has to work a lot harder than anybody against Blanka, and it's for the simple fact she just can't touch him. So, yeah. With that being said, like I said, this is my matchup spread for Blanka. Let me know how you feel about your character against the Blanka matchup. And if you want to maybe play some games against me to kind of get a feel for it, to see if, you know, maybe what I'm saying is true, or maybe you have a different way of, you know, kind of playing the matchup, let me know. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good season for Blanka. A lot of people have kind of pivoted maybe towards Bison or like a different character, but I still think that he's got a really good matchup spread. So make sure you hit the like button, guys. Like I said, leave a comment down below how your matchup is, and I'll catch you guys on the next video, which should be coming out very shortly. So keep an eye out for that, guys. Thank you so much, and have a great day.